One of the things that a lot of people are absolutely sitting on is their email marketing. They're bringing in leads. Like, one of the toughest things we all do as businesses is get more exposure, build our audiences, and bringing in leads, which means you're sitting on a gold mine. Like, I told this thing on stage the other day at AdCon in London, where in front of like 1,000 people, I was saying, I was like, if there's a farmer somewhere in Florida and he's got a pile of oranges in his barn, he still has to get up every week and go and buy orange juice, because if you don't squeeze the oranges, you don't have orange juice. And it's the same. If you just keep building more and more of more lists, more leads, more subscribers, then you actually don't have the very thing that you can build your life with. You can build your companies with. You can buy that extra home or whatever you want to do. So, and this is the thing, just sending emails, while it's not sexy, it's the thing that builds businesses. Like, if you look at everybody who's making significant income online in coaching, in the expert industry, they're all using email to mine the leads that they've already got. You've already paid for them. You've already done the expensive and difficult bit of getting new people to figure out, to find out about you. And you've also done the hard bit of getting them to join your world. Now, let's do the easy and maybe even boring bit. Maybe the reason people don't do this is because it's so easy that it's boring, of actually making sales from those people. But let's really put this into some numbers, right? I just thought I'd show you a quick little thing. I'm going to give you this entire course, by the way, right now, like in email marketing. We're going to be able to do the whole thing and get some pretty advanced principles on the go. So let's go to the iPad. Let's look at the actual reach that we're able to get in front of our audiences. So if you've got a TikTok audience, right, whenever you make a post on TikTok, the percentage of that audience who will actually see your content, I'm going to represent it in this little bar chart here. Obviously, I'm just illustrating this. The percentage of people who will actually see that post is about 3.7%, right? So for every 100 people you've got that are your followers on TikTok, 3.7 of those people, let's round it up to 4 people out of 100 are going to see that post, right? And you've done all that hard work of collecting all those followers on TikTok. Let's go over to Instagram. Instagram is even smaller. Of your followers, of your actual reach, of the people who have said, I like your content so much that I'm going to hit subscribe, right? The number of people who will actually see your content when you share it is 0.48%. That's about 0.5%. So for every 100 people you've got following you, about half a person is going to see one of your posts when you make a post. When you do this on Facebook, right, that becomes even smaller. That percentage of reach is 0.15%. And you've already done the work of getting them to actually follow you. They actually want to see your content, but because of algorithms and preferences and AI and stuff, they're not seeing it. What's the difference in email? When someone joins your email list, when you get them on your email list to join your newsletter through a lead magnet, which we'll get into in a bit, when someone's on your email list and you send an email, the average open rate of an email on the low end is 20%. On the low end. The global average is actually 20 to 60%. Every single time you put a TikTok post out, only 3.7% of those people are going to see it. Only, say, 4 out of 100 are going to see it. When you send an email to your list, on the small end, 20 out of 100 people see that email because your open rate is between 20 and 60%, right? So, yes, and you really need to be using email. Like, this is the huge thing. And I'm going to show you exactly the whole strategy for doing exactly that. But I don't want you to think for a second that we need to abandon these things. That would be very close-minded and short-sighted. What we actually want to do is we want to grow our audience on these platforms, on the social platforms, right? And that includes YouTube, that includes school groups, it includes any third-party platform, right? You want to grow your audience there, and then you want to move that audience onto email, because the simple fact is, when you send a message out to that audience that's on email, more of them actually see it. So when you want to get a surge of people to go and download your new podcast episode, or watch your new YouTube video, or go and check out your new launch, or download your new book, or to come and see you speak at that event, or whatever you want them to do, buy your new product you just launched, you want to do that to your email list, because 20 to 60% of people who are on your email list are actually going to see it. There's another little side benefit I want to talk about with your emails as well. The bad thing about TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of these social platforms is they have what's called negative social proof. And that is, when you first start out on there, and in fact, until you get to a really good number of subscribers, it all kind of just looks a bit shit. Right? It looks a bit shit because someone goes, they see one of your posts and it might be the best post in the world, but like there's one person liked it. It doesn't really make people think, oh, I really want to like it. Or they see your Instagram followers are only a couple of people, maybe under 100 people or a few hundred people. Again, it's not that impressive until you get over 10,000 followers. On email, nobody knows how many followers you've got. Nobody knows how many subscribers you've got on email. They haven't got a clue. So there's none of that negative social proof getting in the way. So we have to make sure that we're going to build our audience on socials, and we're going to do that through organic. We must be doing your organic stuff, and paid. We live in a world now that's far beyond. I really want you to pay attention to this. We are far beyond the times of choosing organic or paid. Everybody who's had success with paid media and only ever been into paid is now heavily pushing their organic thought leadership content. So we need to be doing both of those things. And we need to take those and we need to move them into our email list, right? And so we're going to build it through the organic and through the paid social traffic and move them to where we actually own the data onto our email list. Because let's be honest, like, AI is operating all these social media platforms. AI is operating the newsfeed and the algorithm. And sometimes it gets it wrong and accidentally, completely innocently shuts down profiles. We see it all the time. Oh, I've lost my massive TikTok following. I was about to share the stage with this fantastic woman who was talking about having a massive Instagram following. And the weird irony was, literally that morning, she's about to walk on stage, for absolutely no reason at all, her Instagram got completely deleted. Irreversible. Crazy. Whereas with an email platform, if you fall out with, let's say you've got all your email addresses inside of MailChimp, and something happens with MailChimp and they're no longer your friend, less likely to happen, by the way, but even if it did happen, worst case scenario, if you fell out with MailChimp, you could download all your contacts and upload them into ActiveCampaign or something, and you still have a business. You still have a way of reaching your audience. You can't go to LinkedIn, fall out with them, and download your contacts and upload them into Instagram. That doesn't work because you don't own the data, right? So here's the thing I want you to think about with emails. Let's really get into emails and how we're actually going to do this. We're going to go really deep, give you some really advanced stuff on this so you can go and use it. This is from selling millions of dollars worth of stuff with email. The big mistake people make is they think that emails are about the words. The words are the least important part of an email, right? It's really, really important you realize that. Think about it. There are so many crazy songs with the craziest lyrics ever. There's like a dance artist called Scooter, right? And he has this lyric which is something to do with Dave being on a train. And I'm like, no one cares. His name is Dave. He's on a train. Like, people still dancing to it, but the lyrics make absolutely no sense. Even some of the best artists in the world, you listen to actual lyrics, you're like, makes no sense at all. Yet, they still make us feel something. They still make us want to scream it at the top of our lungs at that festival. But it's not because of the lyrics. It's not because of the words. The same thing. I used to have a dog with my ex-girlfriend. We had a dog called Dante, right? And we used to play this cruel game. But, if you say to a dog, walkies, the dog's ears pricks up and its tail starts wagging, gets really excited. But also, if you say, Smokies in the same tone, what happens? The dog still pricks up its ears and wags its tail. It doesn't know whether you're saying walkies or talkies or smokies, or it doesn't matter. But that tone, if I say, oh, we're going to go for a walk, and I do it in this sort of, we're going to go walkies in a second, the dog's not going to react. The tone is what actually happens. And that's the same with human beings. We act and we react way more to the context and the psychology that's going on inside of emails, way more than the words. And the good news is, because AI exists these days, AI can fix the words part of it. So if you're thinking, oh, I've never sent an email, or I really resist doing email marketing because I'm not a good wordsmith, good news, you can save yourself the 18 years that I've had to work hard at being good at writing words, because that's what I thought they were about. That's what everyone was teaching me about before I figured out, actually, it's the least important thing. And when you unlock the fact it's not the most important thing, you unlock ridiculous results, as you're about to see. And the good news is you are free of that worry, right? You don't have to worry about the words anymore. You don't need to be a wordsmith. So when we get into email marketing, there are two different types of emails, right? There's two different types of emails. Let me bring the iPad back up again. So there's two types of emails. The first type of email that you're going to want to have in your business are called automated emails. They're the types of emails that are going to go out no matter what you happen to be doing, no matter how busy, how stressed, how tired, how much you're traveling, whether you're with your kids, doesn't matter what's happening. If you're bloody asleep, those emails are going to go out, right? And they're really easy to build. They're really easy to put together inside of an email platform, okay? So they're the types of emails that go out as soon as someone joins your email list, as soon as somebody downloads something from you, as soon as they take a particular action. And basically, automated emails are really simple. People make them really complicated. They're really not that complicated, right? Automated emails are basically made out of 3 elements. There are only 3 elements to an automated email. I want to simplify this right now, and we're going to get into the details later. But the only 3 elements, just in case you're getting overwhelmed, are 1, are going to be what's called a trigger. And that is, what is the thing that triggers the automation to start? That might be they clicked on a particular link. They visited a certain web page. It was a certain amount of time, okay? The second thing is to send emails. That's it. Hey, after this trigger happens, when someone clicks this link, send them this email, right? The only other thing is wait time. Because what will sometimes happen is a trigger will happen, you'll send them an email, and then the person won't respond. So you'll put in a wait, let's say you put in a 3-day wait, and then you're going to do number 2 again, which is send another email. So basically, all automations just fall down into this. Don't ever let the technology get in your way. We focus here on psychology because it massively outweighs the technology. As you'll see, most people are massively overcomplicating email marketing. And the people who are overcomplicating email marketing, by the way, are the people who are trying to sell you expensive and complicated email marketing stuff. That's not what we're about here. We're about making it real. The second type of email is not automated. It's what I call a live broadcast email. Each email marketing software will call these things different stuff, and they sometimes use the same word for different stuff, which is extra confusing. But we're going to call this a live broadcast. This is the kind of email that you sit down and write today, and you might send it out straight away, or you might send it out in 2 days' time, but you're sort of writing it right now. It's not automated. It is a scheduled thing that is going out either straight away or at a particular date and time. We are going to get into both of these things today. So we've got a lot of tactics, we've got a lot of strategies that we're going to get into. But the first thing you need to realize is, as I said earlier, a lot of people will overcomplicate their email marketing. And one of the best ways they love to do this is with what's called segmentation. And by segmentation will literally mean, how do we split people up into little different groups? Right? And people overcomplicate this. Like, I remember when I first started out online, I used to use an email marketing platform called Aweber. They're still around. They're absolutely fantastic. Like the OG of email marketing, Aweber, right? And I remember I used to send out an email about a productivity hack I had for my audience, which I used to teach magicians and mind readers and entertainers how to market their businesses and get more gigs so they could actually support their families with their fantastic talents, right? So I'd email them out, and I remember when someone clicked the link to go watch my video about my productivity, this is kind of almost embarrassing, but not almost embarrassing, it is embarrassing. I would tag them. So I was sending out an email with a link to a video on YouTube where I was teaching some productivity technique. And when someone clicked that link, I was segmenting them so much, I was putting a little tag on that person that said they liked videos. Okay. They like productivity. Okay. I sent them the email on a Tuesday. Okay. And it was on a Tuesday morning. Okay. When on earth am I ever going to think, right, I'm going to just only send an email to people who open emails on Tuesdays? The answer is never. I'm never, ever, ever going to do that. So segmentation really doesn't need to be that granular. In fact, if one of the biggest things I see when I go into people's accounts is I usually see they've got way too many tags, way too many segments, way too many lists, way too many things. So how do we get around that? There are only 5 actual segments that we need to think about. There are only 5 of them. And we're going to put them into this little diagram here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, almost professional. Okay, so the first type of person, the only segments you need to have, the only buckets that we need to be putting our email subscribers into are 1, people who have not bought your main program, your main course, your main membership, your main thing. Okay, your main coaching program, right? And the only thing you are going to send to those people are things which help them to realize that they need to buy from you for the first time. That is the only thing we need to be sending to those people. Let's not overcomplicate it. That's one of them, right? The second are people who have bought. Shocking, right? We're going to only send them stuff, which is going to be geared to getting them to buy more stuff, to buy again, to upgrade, to renew. Have you got another level of your program that they could upgrade to? Have you got another adjacent program which will help them with something else? Have you maybe got somebody else's offer that you know about? You could get paid an affiliate commission. You could get paid a bit of if you recommend it. Doesn't even have to be your own thing, right? So that's the second one. People who have bought, the only thing we want to send to those people is stuff that'll have them buying again. Okay? The next are people who are currently looking at your offer. And we send these people, so these are the people who keep looking at your sales page. Every time you send out an email, they go and look at the waitlist page. They go look at the information page about your program, and they keep doing it. Well, if this person was in a store and you were the store owner and they kept going over the same pair of sneaks and looking at them, it wouldn't take you many times until you went over and said, hey, do you want me to have a look and see if I've got them in your size? Have you got any questions about them? We've got some in different colors. You'd be showing up and helping and assisting them, right? So that's what we're going to do here. Most people leave this on the table. This is where millions of dollars are left on the table every single week by coaches. We want to be saying, hey, you're looking at my offer. I want to tell you more. And we have an email campaign that we call the Tell Me More campaign. And yes, I did name it after that song, Tell Me More from Greece. Tell me more, can I get them to buy, right? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to send them a Tell Me More campaign. And guess what kind of email campaign that is? That is one of those beautiful automated email campaigns that's going to go out no matter what. So it doesn't matter if I'm talking to you here right now, or I'm on the beach, or I'm buying a new home, or whatever I'm doing. That Tell Me More campaign is following up with people who are already taking a look and taking interest and serving them. The other segments that are really, really useful for you to have, there's only 2 more. The next one is what I call your top 10%. These are the people who have spent the most amount of money with you. These are the people who not only have shown that they care about solving the problem that you solve, but they also care enough to have spent the most amount of money to solve that problem. And the third part of this, which is the best bit, is they love the way you solve that problem so much that they're going to spend that money with you. You've created what I call the environment of zero competition. These are your super fans who love buying your stuff. So you're going to look up who are the people, my top 10% of people who spent the top 10% of money with me. And you are going to make premium offers to those people, right? And your final segment, and this is almost like the opposite of that, which is people who have not opened or clicked in more than 60 days. Any contact in your email list who has not opened or clicked an email from you in the last 60 days is considered by Gmail and its band of merry men and women like Yahoo and Microsoft to be disengaged. Those people are not looking at your stuff. And that's really damaging your reputation with them, so they're going to stop placing you in like the primary folder, start putting your promotions and maybe in spam if you keep emailing people who are just ignoring you, right? And that makes sense because that's their job. So anyone who's not opened an email from you in 60 days, we're going to send them out something I call the LOL revival emails. As soon as that 60 days comes around, on day 61, they're going to get a series of 11 emails over the course of 14 days, something like that, which re-engages that person. And if they don't re-engage, we're actually going to boot them off the list and we're going to not email them anymore. Why? Because they're not even opening your emails at all. So these are the only 5 segments that every list, every business needs until you're making about 5 million in revenue. After that, we can get a bit more detailed and a little bit more granular. But until 5 million in annual revenue, this is what you need, right? So this is all great, but the question becomes, what happens if you've not emailed your list in a while? And it happens all the time. If you're like, oh, I know I should have been emailing my list, but I haven't for a while, don't worry. I have a special email that's called the Terrible Friend email that you're going to be able to just send out to your list. So let's take a look at that. If I press this button, that'll do it nice and big for you. Okay, good. So here's the email, and I'm going to just unpack the psychology of this email because I want you to send this email. And of course, if you have been emailing your list more regularly, you'll still learn a bunch of psychology from this, or you could just skip this a little bit and skip a little bit forward. That's fine as well. So what's going on in this email? So this is only going out to people who you've not mailed in a while. So maybe you haven't emailed your list for maybe 3 weeks or more is what I really mean by that. And don't worry, it happens literally all the time. Like, it's one of the first things I teach people when I work with them is like, let's make sure we're introducing ourselves. The big danger we've got, by the way, just before I unpack this psychology, the big danger is if you just start emailing people and you haven't emailed them for a while, they're going to freak out and you're going to get so many spam reports. It's going to really permanently damage your sender reputation that it's going to do you a lot more harm than good. So we want to make sure we're not doing that. So this is a psychologically stacked email, which is designed to overcome all of that. Let me show you what's going on. So you're going to send the email. It's going to be from you. You're going to have your photo. So you are a real person who's sending the email. That's the first thing. Next, you're going to have your name. And that's going to be a human being, not a brand name. So really important stuff there. All right. The next thing, which I have just doodled over, so let me just go back a little bit. Oh, no. Let's do that. Okay, cool. Let's go back to here. We're going to greet them by their name if we've got it. Because, again, that shows a level of personalization. Then we're going to open with a really curious line. Every single piece of every single line in this email is very carefully constructed, okay, to win that person back, even though you've not emailed them in a while. I am so sorry. It's a really unusual, strange way of opening an email, and that's why we're going to do it, okay? It's not like, hey, let me quick sell you on myself again, which is like, whoa, calm down, marketer, right? Chill out. Instead, it's the opposite. It's like, lean in, look, I screwed up here. A while ago, you signed up. Now, I'm going to just highlight these words. A while ago, you signed up. We've said 2 important things in those 6 words. You signed up is really important because we don't want people thinking, as soon as somebody sees an email from someone they don't recognize their name, they're thinking, this person is a dirty, rotten scammer, and they've scraped my email address off the internet, off my website, off my LinkedIn, and they're just going to be sending me messages now. We want them to know that this is not the case. And we want to kill that off. We want to kill off that resistance really early in the email. So the way we do that is we say, you signed up. And then we need to combat the idea of, I don't remember signing up, which is why we put in a while ago. That first part of a while ago gives that idea of, oh, that's why I don't immediately recognize the name. Okay, that's going on. And then to get my emails about, and then how to grow your pet photography business. We're now going to tell them exactly what we help people out with, because now they're thinking, oh, I am interested in growing my pet photography business, so that is the kind of email I would have signed up for. This makes sense. This is not a spammer. We have killed that off right here. And then we tell them why they don't recognize our name. I haven't been in touch. So now in that first line, we've proven to them that we are not a spammer, that we have their permission and they were once interested in what it is that we've got to talk about. I hope you can forgive me. That gets them to lean back in again. And then, what do we do next? We say, I plan on making up for it, but I understand that things may have changed for you. There's even a typo in this version of it. So yeah, it's very human, right? Things may have changed for you. So if you'd rather not get my emails, click here to unsubscribe. Oh my gosh, Kennedy, why would I do that? Okay, here's the thing. A spammer would never say, here's the link to unsubscribe. They'd make it so you cannot unsubscribe. And we'll talk about that bad practice a little bit later in this course. But we are saying, we are proving in every single line of this, we are not a spammer. We're also acknowledging the fact that if they have changed direction, they're no longer looking to grow their pet photography business, we're saying, I realize you might have changed direction since between when you signed up and now. So I don't want you to get my emails if that's the case, because you're not going to read them. That's going to damage my sender reputation. You might report them as spam. That's going to really hurt my reputation and going to really hold the rest of my business back. So we're going to give them the option right there and then in the body of the email to unsubscribe. And that link will literally unsubscribe them. And then we're going to say, but if you can forgive me, important bit of psychology here, that word but there, this is a word choice here, that the word but, psychologically speaking, actually deletes in people's subconscious mind the stuff that came before it. So it actually weakens the desire to unsubscribe. So while the unsubscribe thing is there to prove we're not a spammer, we're going to remove attention from it and put more attention on what we want them to do by using that word but. I plan on showing up in your inbox, and then we're going to tell them the specifics, and we're going to be certain. We're going to show confidence here. And we're going to do that by being specific, right? Specificity is the greatest way to show confidence. I'm going to show up 3 times a week starting on Monday. This often when it starts. That's the 2 important parts, where I'll be sharing insights and tips to help you. So there's a positive outcome for that, and we've already described up here what that's about, so we don't need to repeat that. And then we're going to remind them, even if you stick around from the next email, you can still unsubscribe at any time if you change your mind later. We've removed the pressure once again. Speak Monday, hopefully. So if you've not emailed in a while, that is the perfect email to reignite that relationship. And you'll notice that it doesn't do it in a way which is really needy. It does it in a way where you still maintain authority, which sets up future sales. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into a series of, how many have I got? I've got 8 tactics to make your email marketing freaking rock. So you can actually earn way more from all of those leads that you're bringing in. All right, this is going to be great. So let's get into tactic number 1. And this is what I call the sign-up expectation. The number 1 reason that people stop reading your emails is because they weren't expecting to get your emails. And this happens all the time if you run webinars or you do lead magnets, ways of like dangling something exciting in front of someone and saying, hey, give me your email address and you can get this really exciting, valuable thing for free. That usually results in people thinking, oh, cool, I'm going to give you my email address and I'm going to get the thing, and then that is the end of our relationship. That is the end of our story together. But that's not really what you want. You want them to keep reading your emails. So the quick change to figure that out and to actually fix that is to have, first of all, you could have it so that the actual thing they're signing up for is your emails. So this is one of mine. If you go to dailyemailtips.com, you literally will see this, right? So this is from dailyemailtips.com. So people can come on here and say, get my famous daily email marketing tips in your inbox free today. So when they get an email from me, they're not surprised because they signed up for emails from me. And this works in any niche. Hey, if you want my weekly tap dancing tips, sign up here. Like, this is not exclusive to email marketing, right? So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is, if you are going to use a lead magnet, right, make sure you mention the fact that they're going to get emails from you in the future. So here's one of our old lead magnet pages from back in the day, a few years ago now. And it says, you're going to get all this cool stuff. And then it says here, join my email newsletter today and get instant access to, and then in this case, the lead magnet is a bundle of 3 different things. But this would just be whatever your lead magnet is. But the important bit here is, as you've already cottoned onto, I'm sure, is join my email newsletter today. Because now when they receive emails from you, they're thinking, oh, I was expecting that because they said, join my email newsletter today. And now it makes sense to them, right? So that was tactic number 1. Let's get into tactic number 2. If I can find the flippin' thing to click here. Where is it? Here it is. Tactic number 2 is easy to unsubscribe. This is really important because if people don't find it easy to unsubscribe, their next port of call is to smash the spam button. And that really hurts your ability to get your emails opened. And so you won't be getting that 20 to 60% open rate on your emails. So they will hit spam. So what do I mean by making it easy for them to unsubscribe? Well, let me show you a really shit example, right? A shit example of someone doing this completely wrong. This is an email I got just the other day. And it says, hi, Kennedy, blah, 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 Chris, right, whoever this guy is. And then notice all of this empty space, lots of carriage returns in order to push the unsubscribe link all the way out of view. This is really, really bad. You should not be doing this. You shouldn't have been doing it for the last 10 years, but you should definitely not be doing this in 2026. Because if someone sees this and is like, I don't want to get these emails anymore, the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to hit the big spam button. It's also legally not compliant to hide the unsubscribe. It's just bad practice, makes me feel sick. So don't do it. So really make it easy for people to unsubscribe from you. Otherwise, again, you're going to have a bunch of problems. All right? Awesome. What is next on my fabulous list? So next, number 3 is frequency. Here's the thing. Emailing more often used to be the unfair advantage. In fact, I became very well known around the world as being the guy who said, email your list every single day. And I emailed my list every single day for over a decade. I literally sat down and wrote them at my kitchen counter every single morning at 5:30. But here's the problem. Over the past few years, AI has fixed the volume advantage, but it has created a new advantage gap. Yes, volume can be fixed, like emailing every single day. You could email 20 times a day if you wanted to. Please don't. If you wanted to, though, you could, because AI could do that. But if you write good emails that actually sound human and they've got soul and they've got your experiences in them, AI has made it so much more obvious when something is real. The other thing that's really curious to me about AI, and I shared this on a podcast the other day where I was being interviewed, and I think you'll find this really fascinating, is if you look at how AI works, right? If you look at how AI works is basically by creating an average of everything on the internet, right? So let's say AI is going to write you an email, right? Well, AI is going to take a look at the 10 out of 10 emails in the world and the 0 out of 10 emails in the world, and it's going to take an average, which basically means it's going to create 5 out of 10 level emails, right? At the moment, this is how it works. This is going to change. So before AI, you had to be a really good email copywriter to stand out in the inbox, because everyone who was writing by hand were becoming better and better email copywriters. So back just a few years ago, in order to send out a really good email, you had to write an 8 or a 9 out of 10 level email in order to stand out. But now, because most people are using AI to write emails, the actual quality level of emails has dropped to 5 out of 10 level. So now here's the really cool thing. You no longer need to do what I've done, which is spend like nearly 2 decades becoming an amazing email writer and strategist. You don't need to do that anymore, because the level has dropped. The bar has dropped to 5 out of 10. So all you need to do in order to write emails that stand out is send a 6 or a 7 out of 10 level email, and you win. That is an awesome, amazing opportunity that you have right now. Now, that is going to change because AI is going to continue learning on its ability to actually improve quality. But right now, that's the advantage. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to email 3 to 5 times a week, but make the content better. Make it really human. Which brings me into tactic number 4, which is email structure. This is something I've changed my mind on a lot. Right? I used to teach a very strict structure to emails. A very strict structure. I was like, hey, you should always use this. And I always used it. But today, if you use the same structure in every email all of the time, you will lose attention. So I used to teach a formula which was open with a story, then go into a lesson, which is like the moral of the story, and then relate that and link that to your offer. And you can do that. You can do that a lot, but you cannot do it all the time, because people will lose attention. So how do you fix this? What you actually do is go and find the people who are making millions of dollars, who are way more successful than you are, and you look at their emails and you derive from their emails what is the structure they are using. And you do that over and over again. Let's get into tactic number 5, which is email content. This is something else that has completely changed, right? I am known for saying that we should be telling personal stories and sharing your personal experiences. And that has not changed. That is the same. In fact, it's more important now because, look, AI has never lived. It has no personal lived experience, right? It has, and the good news is it's the personal lived experiences of us as human beings where trust comes from in a psychological sort of standpoint, right? So why people buy from you and enroll in your program instead of just asking their favorite AI is because of your authority and trust. So the formula is literally authority, something that you know that they don't know, plus trust in you because of your experience and what you've been through. That creates desire. Authority plus trust equals desire. That's how we make it work. And one other thing that has changed with email content, and again, I'm very well known for telling people, hey, remove all images from your emails. But that is actually no longer the bigger play. Yes, I still stand by the fact that your emails do not need to look like fancy newsletters like a corporation would send out with a big header and sections and stuff like that. No, you want your emails to look like somebody opened up their Gmail and sent out an email. The good news of that is, 1, it feels more personal, it converts better. 2, it gets better deliverability because it hasn't got as much stuff in it and doesn't look as commercial. And 3, and here's the big thing, those emails are simpler and way faster for you and I to write and send because there's none of all that configuration of colors and images and stuff. But the big thing we do have to do in today's world is follow one of my formulas. And this formula that I'm talking about is SIPI, and it stands for say it, prove it. today we live in this sort of trust deficit everyone keeps talking about. So what we have to do these days more than ever is if we say something, we have to prove that it's the case. So the best way of doing this is in your emails, if you say something, just stick an image in there of it. So, hey, I did an email the other day. I'm on my way to the theater with my niece, and I grabbed a quick photo with me and my niece, and I put that in the email. I'll give you another example. This is one I sent you the other day. Hey, we've turned on summer here in the UK, so it's been a Sunday filled with getting my favourite corner of the garden ready, and then a photo of the garden. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because we live in a world where trust is hard and it's difficult for people to believe in us, and we want people to feel real. The fact that I'm showing you a photo of this corner of my actual garden is saying to you, this is a real human being. AI did not do this, and it stands out, right? If you got results from a client, here's another person's example, right? Hey, we just closed the VIP. I didn't expect it to go this fast, but the results are great. Screenshots of client results. That's another great place to be putting in images. So say it, prove it. Okay, tactic number 6. Tactic number 6 is train your audience to take action. We have to train our audience to take action. Think of there's the old psychological experiment of Pavlov's dog. Every time he fed the dog, he rang a little bell. And after a few days, he didn't feed the dog, he just rang the bell, and the dog started salivating. And then, of course, he fed the dog. What does that show you? We are creatures, all animals are creatures of habit. When I hear the bell ring, I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting fed. Okay? And we all do that in our brains, right? We chunk up things, it's called. So what we're doing when someone joins your email list is we're either teaching them to click the links in our emails, or we're teaching them to not click the links in our emails. Which one do you want? I'll tell you which one you want. Well, the fact that the button to apply for your coaching program or to buy or enroll in one of your courses, that button is on your sales page. That means we want them to be training themselves to click the links in our emails. So when you send emails out, always, if you can, as much as possible, have something they can go and click and have a look at. It might be a link to a free bit of content. It might be a link to your latest blog post, YouTube video, whatever. Or it might be a link to go and check out a sales page. So make sure we are training people to act. Really, really important. Number 7 is what we call the Overture Automation. I said earlier on, we're going to talk more about automations, and here we are doing it. So let me show you this on the screen. When someone's wandering around the internet, okay, and then they come along and they join your email list by going through a lead magnet. They're now, thanks to what we've learned today, they're now expecting to receive your emails. One of a couple of things could happen. And for most people, this is what happens. In fact, it happened to me a little while ago. I see this guy's ad. He run ads. He's paying for my attention on Facebook. I click his ad to find out how to do something I was interested in doing. I join his email list and I put my email address in. And the first email I get from him was not, here's the thing you asked for. It was, bonus number 3 is expiring at midnight. Bonus number 3. What's bonus 2? What's bonus 1? What the fuck is the product? What even is this? I had just been pushed away from buying by feeling like I'd entered a party when everyone was already drunk and I'm the only sober person in the room, which is an awful feeling. So what this thing does, it's called the Overture Automation, is when someone joins your email list, the first thing they do is they get a bunch of emails from you which create context for your offer. It introduces the main thing. Like in a musical theater or any piece of theater or any TV show or any movie, we introduce the premise, we introduce the characters, all near the beginning of the piece. We need to do the same thing here. We need to introduce it. So we're going to have I would always send out minimum of 6 emails as soon as someone joins your email list, which doesn't just welcome them to your email list and all that sort of blah stuff. Instead, it actually tells them what your main product is. What is the problem you solve? And why is it uniquely positioned? And that happens whether the person joins your email list today, whether they joined 2 weeks ago, whether they join in 2 weeks' time. I've got an Overture running in my business that I wrote 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, right? And it's still doing its job because it now means once that Overture email sequence is complete, it means every email you ever send ever will perform better because they were introduced to your offer in the correct order at the beginning of the relationship. The number one reason people don't buy from us is always, I don't really understand what your offer is. This solves that. You must have what we call an overture. It's the bit at the beginning. You go and see a big musical. If you've been to see a big musical, that bit that play at the beginning when it's like da 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 da, that is the overture. It's the bit that sets the whole thing up. It changes the energy. It gets your focus, and it informs you as to what's going to happen for the rest of the thing. We need to have that. Now it's time for our final tactic number 8, and that's email deliverability. Look, you can send the best emails in the world. You can follow all of these things, but if none of your emails are actually seen by the people in their email inbox, none of it actually matters a jot. So how do we improve our email deliverability? Here's some really cool tactics. When someone first joins your email list and regularly throughout the month, I want you to send links in your emails which link to Google properties. Send a link to a YouTube video, your own YouTube video, somebody else's YouTube video, to a Google Doc, to a Google Slide, to a Google Sheet with a calculator on it. Because Google trusts Google. And it really loves to see you linking to its things. It also takes up a bit more space in the email inbox, so it actually stands out more. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to ask your email subscribers to reply to your emails, to show that this is not a broadcast channel, this is a thing where people are replying to it. And of course, like I mentioned earlier on, don't email people who have disengaged for longer than 60 days. If you use all of these techniques, you will be doing email marketing way better than 99% of people. You'll be getting better results and making more sales than 99% of people. And you'll be making more sales from the list you've already got. If you want my next technique on how to really blow your email marketing up, go watch this video next. And make sure if you haven't already, hit subscribe. I'll be back next week with another brand new video. See you there.